Life is unpredictable. One moment things are going smoothly and the next you're hit with challenges you didn't expect. Whether it's personal struggles, work pressures, or the ups and downs of relationships, life can sometimes feel like a constant battle. And when the going gets tough, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that happiness is something only for the good times. But what if I told you that happiness doesn't have to be dependent on perfect circumstances? What if, in the midst of difficulty, you could still find peace and joy? In this book, we'll explore how to be happy even when life feels overwhelming. You won't hear unrealistic promises that things will magically get easier. Life will always have its challenges, but you can choose how to respond to them, how to shape your mindset, and how to find the light even when things seem dark. It's about understanding what happiness really is and how to tap into it no matter what your situation looks like. We'll dive into practical, actionable advice that you can use every day to improve your outlook, manage stress, and grow stronger through adversity. This isn't about waiting for life to get easier. It's about learning how to live fully right now, with all its challenges, imperfections, and unpredictability. Along the way, you'll discover that happiness is more about resilience and mindset than it is about avoiding hardship. If you've ever wondered how to find peace when everything feels like it's falling apart, this book will give you the tools you need. You'll learn how to manage your thoughts, overcome obstacles, and create a life that feels meaningful no matter the circumstances. By the end, you'll realize that even in the toughest times, happiness is not just a dream but a choice you can make every day. Chapter 1. Why life feels hard and how to handle it. Life doesn't always go the way we want. There are days when it feels like everything is stacked against us. Stress builds up, unexpected problems appear. And no matter how hard we try, things don't seem to get easier. It's exhausting, frustrating, and at times, overwhelming. But the truth is, difficulty isn't a mistake in the system. It's part of life itself. Hardships exist for a reason, and once we understand this, we can start handling them differently. Many people believe that life should be smooth and fair, but reality doesn't work that way. Struggles are not an exception, they are the rule. Some days are good, some are bad, and some test every ounce of patience and strength we have. The reason life feels hard isn't because something is wrong with us. It's because challenges are woven into the experience of being alive. Pain, loss, setbacks, and disappointments happen to everyone, but not everyone responds to them the same way. The key isn't in avoiding difficulties, but in learning how to face them without letting them destroy our happiness. Most of the time, suffering isn't caused by the situation itself. It's caused by how we think about it. When we resist reality and wish things were different, we create unnecessary pain. If a problem arises, the problem itself isn't what makes us miserable. It's our frustration with it. The more we fight against the way things are, the worse we feel. Traffic jams, job stress, financial struggles, relationship conflicts. These things are common, yet they make people angry or anxious because they expect life to always be easy. But when expectations don't match reality, suffering begins. The moment we accept that life will have difficulties, something shifts. Instead of getting upset when things go wrong, we can focus on what to do next. Instead of wasting energy wishing things were different, we can put our energy into solving problems or adjusting our mindset. Life isn't against us. It's simply giving us opportunities to grow stronger. One of the biggest mistakes people make is comparing their struggles to other people's highlights. In today's world, social media makes it seem like everyone else has it easier while we are dealing with stress, responsibilities, and uncertainty. It looks like others are enjoying perfect relationships, dream jobs, and endless adventures. But that's an illusion. People only share the best parts of their lives, never the struggles behind the scenes. The entrepreneur who looks successful may have gone through years of failure. The couple that seems happy may have their own battles behind closed doors. The friend who seems to have it all together might be fighting silent battles no one sees. Comparing ourselves to others only makes us feel worse. Yet, the reality is that no one has a life free of problems. Everyone is dealing with something. Happiness isn't about escaping hard times. It's about learning how to handle them. The people who stay happy aren't the ones with perfect lives. They're the ones who know how to manage stress, adapt to change, and keep moving forward even when things are tough. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They focus on what they can control and let go of what they can't. They understand that worrying about things beyond their power only drains their energy. The more we accept that some things are out of our hands, the more peace we find. When life gets difficult, the worst thing we can do is freeze. Overthinking, complaining, or waiting for things to magically improve only makes problems feel bigger. The fastest way to get out of a tough situation is to take action, even if it's a small step. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates change. When faced with challenges, doing something is always better than doing nothing. If a job feels overwhelming, breaking tasks into smaller steps helps. If emotions feel too heavy, talking to someone, writing things down, or moving the body can lighten the burden. Progress happens when we take action, not when we sit in frustration. Resilience isn't something people are born with. It's something they build every time a difficulty is faced head-on instead of avoided. Mental strength increases the more we push through discomfort. The easier it gets to handle whatever comes next. Struggles don't mean we're weak. They mean we're being given a chance to become stronger. Difficult times don't last forever. No matter how heavy things feel right now, they will change. Nothing stays the same. The hardest seasons of life eventually pass, and what once felt unbearable becomes a distant memory. What matters is not how hard life gets, but how we choose to respond. When challenges come, there are two choices. Let them break us or let them build us. Strength is built through struggle, and happiness is a skill that can be learned. The difference between those who thrive and those who suffer is not the absence of problems, but the presence of the right mindset. Hard times don't define a person, but their response to them does. When we stop expecting life to be easy and start seeing difficulties as opportunities to grow, everything changes. Every tough situation holds a lesson. Sometimes setbacks push us towards something better. Sometimes pain teaches us to appreciate what we have. Sometimes challenges reveal strengths we didn't know we had. If we shift our perspective, even the hardest moments can bring something valuable. At the end of the day, life isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about becoming the kind of person who can face it with courage, wisdom, and resilience. Problems will come and go, but the ability to handle them is what creates true happiness. The strongest people aren't those who have never struggled. They are the ones who have struggled and chosen to keep going. Every day is an opportunity to grow. Every challenge is a test of strength, and every difficulty carries a hidden lesson. The choice is simple. Let hardships defeat us or use them to become stronger than ever before. Chapter 2. The one choice that changes everything. There are moments in life when everything feels stuck. No matter how much effort is put in, things don't seem to move forward. Stress piles up, doubts creep in, and the mind starts wondering if things will ever get better. It's in these moments that one crucial choice has the power to shift everything. Some believe that change happens because of luck, opportunity, or external circumstances, but the real turning point comes from within. It's not about waiting for the perfect situation or hoping for something to magically improve. It's about deciding deep down to take control. Many go through life reacting to whatever happens. When things are good, they feel good. When things are bad, their happiness disappears. They let circumstances dictate their emotions, never realizing that they hold more power than they think. There comes a time when a person must make a decision. Either stay stuck in the same cycle of frustration and helplessness or step into a new mindset that refuses to be controlled by outside forces. This decision changes everything because it shifts the focus from being a victim of circumstances to becoming the one who directs life's course. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing they have no control over their happiness. They blame the job, the economy, other people, or their past for why they feel the way they do. While challenges are real and struggles are undeniable, the way they are handled is always a choice. Two people can go through the same setback, yet one grows from it while the other crumbles. The difference isn't in what happens but in how it's faced. It's easy to fall into the habit of thinking that happiness will come once a certain goal is reached. The mind creates ideas like, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion," or, "All things will be better once I find the right person." This way of thinking creates an endless cycle of waiting. Even when one goal is reached, another takes its place, and happiness remains something always out of reach. The truth is, happiness isn't something to chase in the future. It's something that must be created now. Taking ownership of emotions means understanding that no one else is responsible for personal happiness. Expecting people to act a certain way, expecting situations to unfold perfectly, or expecting life to always be smooth only leads to disappointment. The more responsibility that is taken over thoughts, actions, and responses, the more control is gained over emotions. Instead of waiting for life to be perfect, a choice must be made to create happiness regardless of circumstances. The mind is a powerful tool, but it can also be the greatest enemy. It constantly narrates life's events, assigning meaning to everything that happens. When things go wrong, it's easy to fall into negative thoughts. Assuming failure means never being good enough, believing one mistake defines everything, or convincing oneself that things will never change. These thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations, and interpretations can be changed. Shifting perspective doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to see challenges as opportunities, failures as lessons, and hardships as moments of growth. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" a better question is, "What can I learn from this?" Small changes in thinking lead to massive shifts in life. When the focus is on problems, they grow larger. When the focus is on solutions, possibilities open up. When energy is spent on what can't be controlled, frustration builds. When attention is placed on what can be changed, progress happens. The choice is always there. Either give in to negativity and let circumstances dictate emotions, or take control and decide to create happiness regardless of the situation. Everyday choices are made that either strengthen or weaken personal power. Choosing to dwell on the past keeps life stagnant. Choosing to take action moves life forward. Choosing to complain increases frustration. Choosing to find solutions brings peace. It's not about having a perfect life. It's about mastering the ability to navigate whatever life brings with a mindset that refuses to be defeated. Some of the happiest people in the world have faced the greatest hardships. They have lost loved ones, experienced failure, battled personal struggles, and endured setbacks most would find unbearable. Yet they continue to smile, to be kind, to spread positivity. The reason isn't that their lives are easy. It's that they made a decision. No matter what happens, they will not let life take away their happiness. They do not ignore their pain or pretend difficulties don't exist. Instead, they acknowledge them, face them, and still choose to move forward. Nothing changes until a choice is made to change. No one else can make that choice. It doesn't require money, status, or the perfect circumstances. It requires deciding in this moment that from now on emotions, mindset, and happiness will no longer be dependent on things outside of personal control. The power to create a meaningful, joyful life has always been there. It's just been waiting for the right decision to bring it to life. Chapter 3. How to stay happy when things go wrong. There are moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, when the world around you is swirling with chaos, and it seems like the only thing that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. You can almost feel the weight of it all pressing down, making it hard to breathe. These are the times when happiness seems like a distant memory, something you used to know but can no longer touch. But here's the truth. Happiness doesn't disappear just because life gets tough. It's still there, waiting for you to reach out and reclaim it. The problem isn't that happiness is lost. It's that we forget we can still hold on to it, even in the hardest of times. When things go wrong, it's natural to feel a sense of despair. It's easy to think that if only the situation were different, then everything would be fine. But what if I told you that your happiness isn't dependent on the external world? It's not about how your circumstances unfold. It's about how you respond to them. The real challenge in life isn't the things that happen to us. It's how we choose to navigate them. First, it might sound like a tough pill to swallow. How can we stay happy when life is throwing curveballs left and right? How can we stay calm when the storm of stress, disappointment, or frustration feels so overwhelming? The answer lies in one simple but powerful realization. You can control how you react. It's not easy and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's always within your power to choose how you respond to the world. The first step is accepting that difficulties are part of life. Too often we spend so much energy wishing things were different, fighting against the inevitable, that we make ourselves miserable. The job didn't work out the way you expected. Life is hard. The relationship you thought would last forever fell apart. Life is hard. Things didn't turn out the way you planned. Life is hard. The truth is, everyone goes through tough times. It's part of the human experience. It's not that you're unlucky or cursed. It's that this is what life is. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you can find a way through it. Now, I know it's not easy to stay happy when you're in the middle of a storm. It can feel impossible, like there's no way out of the darkness. But happiness doesn't always mean feeling joyful or positive all the time. Sometimes, happiness is simply the decision to keep going. It's the act of not giving up, even when you feel like you can't take another step. In those moments, happiness is about being gentle with yourself, allowing yourself to feel the weight of the situation without letting it consume you. When life gets tough, we often start to lose sight of what matters most. We get caught up in the problem, in the stress, in the emotion. But happiness, real happiness, is found in the small things, the moments that pass by unnoticed when we're focused on the negatives. It's in the deep breath you take before reacting, the smile you give to a stranger, the quiet moments of gratitude you can still find even in the midst of chaos. These moments are where happiness lives. They might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but they add up. The more you notice them, the more you realize that happiness doesn't have to be a grand, elusive feeling. It's in the simple moments of stillness, acceptance, and presence. One of the hardest things when life gets tough is the overwhelming feeling that we have no control. The bills are piling up, the relationships are strained, the to-do list never ends, and all of it feels out of our hands. It's easy to get stuck in the feeling that everything is spinning out of control. But here's something that can help. Focus on the things you can control. You can't always change the circumstances, but you can control how you show up in them. You can control how you treat yourself, how you manage your thoughts, and how you respond to challenges. When you're faced with a tough situation, take a step back, breathe, and ask yourself, what can I control here? Can I control my thoughts? Yes. Can I control my response? Yes. Can I control how I take care of myself during this time? Yes. These might feel like small victories, but they add up. Every moment you focus on what you can control, you're reclaiming your power. And with that power, you begin to shift your mindset. Instead of feeling helpless, you begin to feel capable. Instead of drowning in the chaos, you start to find your footing. Sometimes the key to staying happy isn't about fixing everything. It's about learning to sit with the discomfort without letting it define you. It's about allowing yourself to feel frustrated, sad, or overwhelmed without believing that those emotions will last forever. Feelings are just that, feelings. They pass, and when you don't resist them, when you don't fight them, they move through you more quickly. This is the power of acceptance. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about being honest with yourself and saying, this is tough and I'm struggling, but that doesn't mean I have to give up on my happiness. In fact, one of the most powerful things you can do when life gets tough is to practice gratitude. Yes, even in the worst moments. It might sound counterintuitive, but gratitude shifts your focus. When everything seems to be falling apart, it's easy to focus on what's wrong, on what's missing. But there's always something to be grateful for. Even if it's as simple as the ability to take another breath, the warmth of the sun on your skin, or the love of a friend or family member. Gratitude doesn't make your problems disappear, but it does help you see the good that still exists even amidst the chaos. Another powerful tool is the practice of mindfulness. This is the art of staying present, of grounding yourself in the moment rather than getting lost in what happened yesterday or worrying about tomorrow. When life feels overwhelming, it's easy to get caught up in the past or the future. But the present moment is where true peace resides. When you focus on the here and now, you stop giving so much energy to what's out of your control. You let go of the constant loop of what if and begin to find clarity. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you realize that happiness doesn't come from a perfect life. It comes from being fully present in the life you have right now. It's important to remember that staying happy doesn't mean you won't experience sadness, frustration, or anger. Emotions are part of being human, and they don't disappear just because you've made a choice to be happy. But here's the secret. Emotions don't control you unless you let them. You have the power to choose how you respond to them. You can let them guide you, teach you, and show you where you need to grow. Or you can let them overwhelm you and rob you of your peace. The choice is always yours. The more you practice these tools, focusing on what you can control, accepting your feelings without judgment, finding gratitude in the smallest moments, the more you'll realize that happiness is never as far away as it seems. It's always within reach, even when life is hard. It's in the way you choose to show up no matter what's happening around you. It's in the quiet resilience that you cultivate within yourself. And it's in the way you decide every single day that you will not let life take away your happiness. Chapter 4. The trick to stop overthinking and worrying the mind is a constant whirlwind, always spinning with thoughts, worries, and questions that never seem to end. One thought leads to another, and before you know it, you're caught in a loop of overthinking. It's like a hamster running on a wheel, going nowhere but feeling like it's getting somewhere. The problem is, overthinking doesn't solve anything. In fact, it often makes things worse. It keeps you stuck, trapped in a cycle of worry, fear, and confusion. You begin to feel as though your thoughts are controlling you, and your mind is a place of chaos instead of calm. Overthinking is a habit that many of us have learned over time. It's a way of trying to control situations to figure everything out before taking action. We analyze every possible outcome, every possible mistake, and every possible regret. But the truth is, the more we try to predict or control every single detail of our lives, the more we rob ourselves of peace and happiness. Overthinking keeps us from living in the present moment. It traps us in the past or the future, never allowing us to fully experience what's happening right now. We get caught in a cycle of what if and I should have, and it only adds stress without providing any real answers. The first step in overcoming overthinking is recognizing that it's a pattern, not a necessity. You don't need to solve everything in your mind before you take a step forward. In fact, overthinking often prevents progress. Instead of thinking through every possible outcome, consider taking action and adjusting as you go. Life isn't about getting everything perfect before moving forward. It's about learning through experience, adjusting when things don't go as planned, and being okay with not having all the answers right now. We can't predict the future and we can't change the past. All we have is this moment, and overthinking keeps us from fully embracing it. One of the ways to stop the overthinking cycle is to focus on what you can control. You can't control every outcome, every situation, or every person around you. But you can control your actions, your thoughts, and your reactions. When you find yourself spiraling into thoughts about things you can't change, shift your focus. Ask yourself, what can I do right now that will move me forward? The answer may be something small like taking a few deep breaths, making a phone call, or even just sitting down and writing out your thoughts. But every time you refocus on what you can do in the present, you break the cycle of overthinking and give yourself a chance to move forward. Another way to stop overthinking is to create space for your thoughts. It sounds counterintuitive, but giving yourself the permission to think things through without trying to force conclusions or rush the process can be incredibly helpful. Instead of pushing your thoughts away, try sitting with them. Let them come and go without judgment. Often, the reason we overthink is because we're afraid of the thoughts we're having, or we think that by controlling them we'll find clarity. But in reality, pushing against our thoughts often makes them more powerful. When you allow them to simply be, without attaching meaning or fear to them, you begin to take back control. The next time you feel that overwhelming sense of overthinking creeping in, try something simple: pause. Literally, pause for a moment, close your eyes and breathe. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. As you do this, focus on the present moment. Notice what's happening around you, what you can feel, what you can hear, and what you can see. Ground yourself in the now. Overthinking tends to be about things that haven't happened yet or things that have already passed. The present moment is where peace exists, and by grounding yourself there, you can interrupt the flow of anxious thoughts. It's also important to realize that overthinking is often fueled by fear. We worry about what might happen, what could go wrong, or what others might think. The fear of the unknown can be paralyzing, causing us to spin in circles instead of taking action. But fear is often a result of our imagination running wild. We don't know what the future holds, and we can't predict every outcome. And yet, we allow our minds to fill in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. The key here is to remind yourself that fear doesn't have to control your actions. Just because your mind creates a negative scenario doesn't mean it's true. In fact, most of the things we worry about never happen. The fear is real, but the circumstances we fear often don't come to pass. Taking small actions is one of the best ways to combat overthinking. When we sit with a decision for too long without making any progress, we start to analyze it to death. We run every possible scenario, overthink every option, and ultimately end up stuck. But making a decision, even a small one, helps break the cycle. When you take action, even if it's imperfect, you give yourself momentum. You create forward motion, and that forward motion creates clarity. Instead of staying stuck in your head, you start to see things differently by acting in the world. It's often through action that we find out what we truly need, want, and fear, and it's through action that we begin to calm the storm of overthinking. One technique that can help with overthinking is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting caught up in them. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to see that your thoughts are just that, thoughts. They're not facts, and they don't have to control you. By practicing mindfulness regularly, you train your mind to focus on the present, to acknowledge thoughts without attaching to them, and to create space between you and the constant chatter of your mind. This space is where clarity and calmness reside. It's also important to develop the habit of self-compassion. Overthinking often comes from a place of fear and self-doubt. We question ourselves, our decisions, and our worth. We worry that we're not good enough or that we'll make the wrong choice. But being kind to yourself during these moments is essential. When you're kind to yourself, you stop being your own harshest critic and become your own biggest supporter. This shift in mindset helps ease the pressure and reduces the need for overthinking. Instead of worrying about making a mistake, you can approach life with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to learn from whatever happens. Remember that overthinking is a habit. Like any habit, it can be broken. The more you practice stopping the cycle of overthinking, the easier it becomes. It's not about eliminating all thought, but about learning to respond to them differently. Instead of letting your thoughts control you, take control of how you engage with them. Over time, this will help you build mental clarity and inner peace, making it easier to navigate life's challenges without getting lost in your head. The more you practice these techniques, the more you'll find that overthinking no longer has the same grip on you. It won't control your every move, and it won't rob you of your peace. You'll start to feel lighter, more grounded, and more capable of moving through life with confidence. Life doesn't need to be perfect to be fulfilling. The goal isn't to eliminate every worry or fear. The goal is to stop letting them hold you back. By taking small, deliberate steps to quiet the mind, you free yourself from the endless loop of overthinking and start living with more clarity, more peace, and more happiness. Chapter 5. How to be happy without changing your life. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at us, doesn't it? One moment everything seems to be going well, and the next we're stuck in a place where nothing seems right. When things aren't going our way, it's easy to think that the only path to happiness is to change everything around us. We often believe that if we could just fix our circumstances, whether it's a difficult job, a tough relationship, or an uncertain future, then everything would magically fall into place. But here's the thing. You don't need to change everything to be happy. In fact, happiness doesn't come from altering your surroundings or waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. Happiness is a mindset that you can cultivate from within, no matter what's happening in your life. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to strive for more, to want the better job, the bigger house, the perfect relationship. We think that when we have more of these external things, we'll feel fulfilled. But the reality is that no amount of more can truly make us happy if we haven't learned how to be content with what we have. Happiness is not about changing our circumstances. It's about changing the way we see and respond to them. It's about finding peace and satisfaction in the present moment, no matter how imperfect it might be. There's a saying that goes, "Happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have." It's a simple idea, but it carries so much truth. Too often, we're caught up in thinking about what's missing from our lives. We focus on the things we don't have, the goals we haven't achieved, and the things that could go wrong in the future. This constant chasing of what's next makes it hard to appreciate what we already have. We lose sight of the beauty in the small moments, the joy in the simple things, and the blessings that are already present in our lives. When we shift our focus from what's lacking to what's already here, we begin to tap into a deeper sense of contentment. One of the first steps in finding happiness without changing your life is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is powerful because it forces us to acknowledge the good things in our lives, even in the midst of difficulty. It's easy to forget about what we have when we're so focused on what we want or what we think we're missing. But when we take a moment to reflect on the things we're grateful for, we begin to see that we have so much to be thankful for right here, right now. Whether it's the love of a family member, the support of a friend, or even something as simple as a warm cup of coffee in the morning, gratitude helps us shift our focus from scarcity to abundance. But it's not just about making a list of things you're thankful for. Gratitude requires you to truly feel the emotion of thankfulness. Take a moment every day to reflect on what you're grateful for, and allow yourself to really savor the feeling of appreciation. Close your eyes and think about the things, people, or experiences that bring you joy. Let the warmth of that gratitude fill you up. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that you already have everything you need to be happy. Another way to find happiness without changing your life is to stop waiting for the perfect moment. We often tell ourselves that we'll be happy when we achieve something. A promotion at work, a dream vacation, or even just a day without stress. But the truth is, happiness is not something that's waiting for us on the other side of some big achievement. Happiness is a practice that can be cultivated in any moment. It's about learning to appreciate life as it is, even when things aren't perfect. It's about finding joy in the process rather than waiting for the end result. When we're always looking ahead to the future, we miss out on the present. We rush through our days, thinking that happiness will only come when we've crossed a certain milestone off our list. But the future is always just out of reach. There's always another goal to pursue, another dream to chase. If we're constantly waiting for the next big thing, we'll never find contentment. Instead, happiness comes from embracing where you are right now, imperfections and all. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't have goals or aspirations. Goals are important for personal growth and fulfillment. But it's crucial to understand that happiness isn't something that's dependent on achieving them. It's about finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. It's about being okay with where you are, even if it's not where you want to be. Happiness is found in the everyday moments, the quiet morning, the laughter shared with friends, the feeling of accomplishment after a long day. These moments may seem small, but they are the building blocks of a happy life. We also need to let go of the idea that we have to have everything figured out. It's easy to feel like we're falling behind or not living up to expectations, especially when we compare ourselves to others. But the truth is, nobody has it all figured out. Life is a journey, and we're all figuring things out as we go. It's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to be uncertain. What matters is that you're showing up, doing your best, and embracing the process. Happiness doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from accepting the unknown and trusting that everything will unfold as it's meant to. One of the biggest roadblocks to happiness is the constant pressure we place on ourselves to be perfect. We live in a world that often values achievement over well-being, where success is measured by external standards like how much money you make or how many followers you have on social media. But these things don't define your worth. True happiness comes from within, and it's not something that can be measured by external accomplishments. It's about feeling good in your own skin, being at peace with who you are, and accepting yourself, flaws and all. When we stop trying to be perfect, we free ourselves to simply be ourselves. We let go of the fear of judgment and the need for approval. We stop trying to prove our worth to others and instead, we focus on living authentically. Happiness is not about fitting into a mold or meeting other people's expectations. It's about being true to yourself and embracing your unique journey. Another powerful way to cultivate happiness is by focusing on what you can give rather than what you can get. Often, we think that happiness comes from accumulating things or achieving success. But true happiness comes from giving to others. Whether it's your time, your kindness, or your support. When we give, we create connections, build relationships, and experience a sense of fulfillment that no material possession can offer. Helping others reminds us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, and that in itself is a source of joy. The more you focus on giving and finding purpose in your daily actions, the more you'll discover that happiness is not something you need to chase. It's something that comes naturally when you're present, when you appreciate what you already have, and when you focus on living with intention. Happiness isn't about waiting for life to change. It's about changing your perspective and choosing to be happy no matter what your circumstances may be. At the end of the day, happiness is a choice. It's not something that comes from external factors or circumstances. It's something that we create within ourselves. It's about being content with who you are, where you are, and what you have. It's about letting go of the need for perfection and finding peace in the present moment. You don't need to change everything in your life to be happy. Happiness is already here, waiting for you to embrace it. And the best part? You have the power to choose it every single day. Chapter 6. How to feel good even when you don't want to. There are days when everything feels heavy. The weight of the world seems to press down, and even getting out of bed can feel like a monumental task. We all experience moments when our energy is drained, when the thought of facing the day seems overwhelming. It's normal to feel this way now and then, but how we handle these moments is what can make the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. The good news is that it's possible to feel good, even when your mind and body are telling you otherwise. It starts with understanding that emotions and moods are not permanent. They come and go, and when you're feeling low, there are practical ways to shift your state even when you don't feel like it. One of the most powerful ways to turn around a bad day is by starting with the basics, your body. Our physical state has a direct impact on our mental and emotional state. When we're tired, hungry, or physically uncomfortable, our minds tend to spiral into negativity. But small changes in our physical habits can have a profound impact on how we feel. It might not be the quick fix we're hoping for, but it's a start. The first step is to take care of your body, not as a chore, but as a form of self-care. If you're feeling low or overwhelmed, one of the best things you can do is to move your body. It doesn't matter if it's a long walk, a short jog, or even a few minutes of stretching. Moving your body releases endorphins, the natural feel-good chemicals in your brain. These chemicals help combat stress and lift your mood. You don't need to do anything intense or difficult. Just get your body moving, even if it's just for a few minutes. The simple act of moving helps you feel more connected to yourself, more grounded and more alive. Along with physical movement, hydration is another easy, but often overlooked way to improve how you feel. When we're dehydrated, it can lead to feelings of irritability, fatigue, and even anxiety. The body and mind are deeply connected, and taking care of your physical needs can have a direct effect on how you feel emotionally. So, make sure you're drinking enough water. It's a small step that can make a big difference, especially on days when everything feels off. Another powerful tool for feeling good, even when you don't want to, is mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply the practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. It's easy to get caught up in our thoughts, especially when we're feeling down. Our minds tend to race, jumping from one worry to the next. We replay the past, fret over the future, and forget about the present. But mindfulness pulls us back to the here and now. You don't need to meditate for hours to practice mindfulness. Start by taking just a few minutes to focus on your breath. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and pay attention to the air moving in and out of your body. As you inhale, notice how the air fills your lungs. As you exhale, feel the tension begin to melt away. This simple exercise can help calm your mind, reduce stress, and give you a sense of control over your thoughts. It helps you detach from the constant chatter in your head and create a sense of space between you and your emotions. Mindfulness also involves observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment. It's easy to get caught up in thinking that your emotions are facts. When you feel down, it's easy to think, "I'm just not a happy person," or "I'll never get through this." But emotions are fleeting. They come and go, and they don't define who you are. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to notice your feelings without getting lost in them. You can observe them like passing clouds, acknowledging them but not letting them take control of you. This perspective shift is incredibly empowering. You don't need to be a victim of your emotions. You can simply let them pass like waves in the ocean. Another important aspect of feeling good, especially on tough days, is changing the way you speak to yourself. We can be our own harshest critics. When things aren't going well, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed, or that we're failures. But this negative self-talk only makes things worse. It drags us further into a hole of despair. Instead of speaking to yourself like an enemy, try speaking to yourself like a friend. When you're feeling down, ask yourself, "What would I say to a friend right now?" You wouldn't tell your friend that they're worthless or that they'll never get better. You'd offer words of encouragement and compassion. It's time to do the same for yourself. Replace negative self-talk with affirmations and positive reminders. Remind yourself of your strengths, your resilience, and your ability to overcome challenges. Instead of focusing on what you're doing wrong, focus on what you're doing right. Progress isn't always measured by big achievements. Sometimes just getting through the day is a victory in itself, and that's something to celebrate. Another small but effective way to boost your mood is by doing something that brings you joy, even if you don't feel like it. It could be something simple like reading a book, listening to your favorite music, or calling a friend. Sometimes when we're feeling low, we convince ourselves that we're too tired or too down to do the things we love. But the truth is, doing things that make you happy, no matter how small, can help lift your spirits. It might feel like a struggle at first, but once you start, you'll often find that the joy comes back naturally. Taking a break from technology is another important aspect of feeling good. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded by information, social media, and the opinions of others. This constant influx of stimulation can leave us feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from ourselves. If you're having a tough day, try taking a break from your phone, computer, and social media. Disconnecting from the digital world for a little while allows you to reconnect with yourself. It gives you space to breathe, think, and refocus on what really matters. Sometimes when everything feels heavy, the best thing you can do is take it one step at a time. Life can feel overwhelming when we look at it as a whole, but when we break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks, it becomes easier to handle. Focus on what you can do right now. What's one small thing you can do to feel better? Whether it's getting out of bed, taking a shower, or making a cup of tea, every small step counts. And when you look back at the end of the day, you'll realize that you've made progress, even if it didn't feel like it at the time. Remember, it's okay not to feel okay all the time. Life isn't about being happy every minute of every day, but it's about finding ways to get back to a place of peace and joy even when things aren't going well. Feeling good is a process, and it's a skill that you can develop over time. By taking care of your body, practicing mindfulness, changing your self-talk, and doing things that bring you joy, you can begin to shift your mood and feel better even on the hardest days. The key is to start, even when it feels hard, because every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to feeling better. Chapter 7. How to find meaning in hard times. There are times in life when everything feels completely out of control. You feel like you're standing at the edge of a storm, just waiting for it to sweep you away. The winds of adversity, the rain of uncertainty, and the dark clouds of doubt seem endless. During these times, it can be hard to find meaning in the struggle. It's as if everything you've worked for, everything you've believed in, is suddenly irrelevant, leaving you feeling lost and uncertain. But it's in these very moments that meaning is often waiting to be found, hidden within the challenge, the pain, and the discomfort. Life is unpredictable, and the moments that shake us the most are often the ones that shape us. Struggles, while painful, offer us opportunities to grow, evolve, and learn things about ourselves that we would never have known otherwise. The process of finding meaning in hardship isn't about dismissing the difficulty or pretending it doesn't hurt. Instead, it's about looking for lessons, finding purpose in the struggle, and learning to embrace the experience as a necessary part of your personal growth. One of the most powerful ways to find meaning in difficult times is by shifting your perspective. When life throws challenges your way, it's easy to see them as setbacks, as obstacles standing in the way of your happiness. But what if you saw them instead as opportunities? Opportunities to build resilience, to learn patience, to develop strength you didn't know you had. The shift from seeing a challenge as a burden to seeing it as an opportunity for growth can be a game changer. When you change your lens, you change your experience. Think about times in your life when things didn't go as planned. Looking back, there are likely moments when, despite the initial disappointment or hurt, you came out stronger on the other side. It's easy to forget that growth doesn't happen without discomfort. In fact, some of our most profound lessons are learned in times of struggle. Pain often has a way of breaking us open and revealing parts of ourselves that we never knew existed. It's not easy, and it's certainly not always fun, but that's where the magic happens. The hard times give us the chance to rewrite our story. Part of finding meaning is about accepting the things you cannot change. It's easy to get caught up in the desire to control everything around you, especially when life feels unpredictable and chaotic. But the truth is, some things are simply beyond our control. Whether it's the actions of others, the twists of fate, or circumstances outside your influence, there are forces at play that you can't change. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you free yourself from unnecessary stress and frustration. Instead of wasting energy fighting against things that cannot be changed, you can focus on the one thing you have full control over: your response. When you start to embrace this idea, you begin to reclaim your power. No matter what life throws at you, you have the ability to choose how you react. This is where meaning comes in. It's not about avoiding difficult situations, but about facing them with a sense of purpose. When you choose to respond with resilience, patience, or understanding, you take back the narrative. The struggle becomes a part of your story, not the end of it. Another way to find meaning in tough times is to connect with your values. When everything else feels uncertain, grounding yourself in what truly matters to you can provide clarity. Your values are the compass that guides you through life. They are the things that give your life purpose, direction, and meaning. During times of hardship, it's easy to forget what truly matters because you're overwhelmed by the storm around you. But when you return to your values, you find a sense of stability and clarity that cuts through the chaos. For instance, if kindness is a value that's important to you, even in the midst of hardship, you can find meaning by showing kindness to others. If growth is one of your core values, you can see the struggle as a necessary part of your personal development. If love is a central value, you can focus on how relationships can provide support and comfort during challenging times. When you live in alignment with your values, you begin to see meaning in the everyday moments, even those that seem small or insignificant. In addition to reconnecting with your values, another source of meaning comes from the simple act of helping others. Often, when we're feeling low, our natural instinct is to withdraw and focus inward. It's easy to get caught up in our own pain and struggles. But helping others, whether through small acts of kindness or offering support, has a way of shifting our focus. It takes our attention off our own difficulties and gives us a sense of purpose. When you help someone else, you're not only making a difference in their life, but you're also adding meaning to your own. Helping others doesn't always have to involve grand gestures. It could be as simple as holding the door open for someone, offering a kind word to a stranger, or helping a friend through a tough time. These small acts of kindness not only bring meaning to others' lives, but they also bring meaning to yours. When you contribute to the well-being of others, you reinforce the idea that even in the midst of hardship, you have the power to make the world a better place. That sense of purpose is a powerful antidote to feelings of helplessness and despair. Another way to find meaning in tough times is to embrace the idea of patience. In a world where instant gratification is the norm, waiting can feel unbearable. We want things to improve right away. We want the pain to end. We want the storm to pass immediately. But some things take time. Healing takes time. Growth takes time, and finding meaning often requires patience. You can't rush the process. Sometimes all you can do is hold on. Trust that the storm will eventually pass, and keep moving forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. Patience doesn't mean passivity. It's not about sitting back and waiting for things to get better on their own. It's about accepting where you are, embracing the journey, and understanding that growth takes time. When you allow yourself the space to be patient, you stop rushing through the pain and start learning from it. You begin to understand that even the hardest moments are temporary, and that every experience, good or bad, is part of the journey. When you look back on the tough times in your life, you'll probably know that the most meaningful moments often came after the most difficult struggles. The hardships may not have been easy, but they shaped who you are today. They taught you lessons about resilience, patience, and the strength you have within you. And when you take a step back and view these moments through the lens of growth, you begin to see them not as obstacles but as opportunities to become the best version of yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the pain and difficulty of life's challenges, but by choosing to find meaning in the struggle, you take control of your narrative. You transform hardship into a tool for personal growth, learning, and purpose. Every challenge, no matter how difficult, offers a chance for you to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And in that growth, you'll find meaning. Even when life gets tough, there's always a deeper purpose waiting to be discovered. Chapter 8. Letting go of what you can't control. Life is a constant stream of events and situations that are often beyond our control. We find ourselves dealing with everything from small inconveniences to major life challenges, and at times it feels like everything is falling apart. It can be easy to fall into the trap of frustration and despair when we try to control everything around us. But what if we could let go of the need to control it all? What if the real key to happiness and peace of mind lies in accepting that there are things we simply cannot change? The truth is, trying to control everything is a losing battle. We can control how we respond to life's challenges, but we cannot control everything that happens around us. There will always be things that are outside of our control. Other people's actions, the economy, the weather, the past, and countless other factors. The more we try to control these things, the more frustrated and overwhelmed we become. It's like trying to hold on to a fistful of water. The tighter we grip, the more it slips through our fingers. Acceptance is the first step toward letting go. It doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to being passive. It means acknowledging that certain things are simply beyond our control, and instead of fighting against them, we choose to focus on what we can control, our mindset and our actions. When we accept that there are things we cannot change, we free ourselves from the constant struggle. Instead of trying to force situations to go our way, we shift our energy toward what we can influence. This is where true empowerment lies. The idea of letting go doesn't mean that we stop caring. It doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye to challenges or avoid difficult situations. It means that we stop clinging to outcomes that we cannot dictate. We can still work hard, do our best, and make thoughtful decisions, but we stop holding on to the need to control every detail. We trust that no matter what happens, we have the strength to handle it. We stop fearing the unknown and start embracing the uncertainty of life with courage and grace. Think about the times when you've tried to control every detail, only to end up more stressed and anxious than ever. Maybe you've planned every moment of your day down to the minute, only to find that things don't go as expected. Maybe you've tried to control a relationship, a project, or a situation, only to find that the more you try to force it, the more things slip out of your grasp. The frustration comes from trying to force life to fit into a mold that isn't meant to be. Learning to let go means recognizing that life doesn't always go according to plan, and that's okay. In fact, some of the best things that happen to us are the result of unexpected turns and surprises. When we release the need to control, we open ourselves up to possibilities that we might have otherwise missed. Letting go isn't about giving up on your dreams or abandoning your goals. It's about releasing the pressure to control every aspect of your journey and allowing life to unfold in its own way. Acceptance also requires us to be kind to ourselves. We often judge ourselves harshly for not being able to control certain things. We beat ourselves up for not having all the answers or for not being able to fix everything. But the reality is we are all human. We all face challenges, and we all encounter moments of doubt and uncertainty. Instead of criticizing ourselves for not having all the answers, we can embrace the idea that it's okay not to have control over everything. It's okay to not have all the answers, and it's okay to be vulnerable and uncertain. This is where true growth happens. The process of letting go begins with self-awareness. It starts by recognizing the areas of your life where you're trying to control things that are out of your hands. When you catch yourself getting frustrated over something you can't change, pause and take a breath. Ask yourself, can I control this? Is there something I can do right now to make a difference? If the answer is no, it's time to release your grip. Remind yourself that you can't control everything, and that's perfectly fine. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to let go of unnecessary worry and stress. Letting go also involves embracing trust. It means trusting yourself and trusting the process of life. It means having faith that even when things don't go the way you want them to, you'll be okay. Life has a way of working itself out, often in ways that we could never have predicted. Trusting in the flow of life and letting go of the need to control every outcome allows us to experience peace, freedom, and a deeper sense of joy. Another key aspect of letting go is releasing attachment to specific outcomes. Often we attach our happiness to certain results. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get this promotion, or I'll feel successful when I achieve this goal. But when we tie our happiness to a specific outcome, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The truth is, life is unpredictable, and the things we think will bring us happiness don't always deliver the way we expect. When we release our attachment to specific outcomes and instead focus on the journey itself, we open ourselves up to experiencing joy in the present moment. Happiness doesn't have to be something that only comes after we reach a certain destination. It can be found along the way, in the small moments, the simple pleasures, and the lessons we learn as we navigate life. Letting go also requires us to be present. It's easy to get caught up in the past or the future, worrying about what went wrong or what might happen next. But when we focus too much on what we can't change, we miss the beauty of the present moment. The present is where life is happening right now, and it's the only moment we truly have control over. By practicing mindfulness and staying grounded in the present, we stop wasting energy on things we can't change and instead, we focus on making the most of what we have in front of us. One of the most freeing aspects of letting go is realizing that you don't have to have it all figured out. We often put immense pressure on ourselves to have everything planned, organized, and under control. But the truth is, life isn't a straight path. There are twists, turns, and detours along the way, and that's part of the beauty of the journey. When you release the need to have it all figured out, you allow yourself to embrace uncertainty with an open heart. You give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. You free yourself from the burden of perfection and allow yourself to just be. The more you practice letting go, the more peace you'll find. It's not an overnight process, but with time, you'll find yourself becoming less attached to the need for control. You'll begin to feel lighter, less stressed, and more content with the flow of life. And in the end, you'll realize that the key to happiness is not in controlling everything around you, but in embracing the unknown, accepting the things you can't change, and trusting that no matter what happens, you have the strength to handle it. Chapter 9. Why failure is a good thing. Failure is often seen as something to avoid at all costs. Society teaches us to be successful, to avoid mistakes, and to present a perfect image of ourselves to the world. But in reality, failure is a part of life. It's inevitable and, surprisingly, it's one of the most important elements of growth and learning. Embracing failure can change how we view our own potential and open up opportunities that we never imagined. It's natural to feel a sense of disappointment or shame when we fail. The feeling of falling short can sting, especially when we have worked hard, put in effort, and hoped for a different outcome. But the idea that failure is a negative experience is a misconception. It's not the failure itself that defines us. It's what we do with it that matters. The real power lies in how we choose to respond. Failure can be a lesson, a stepping stone to success, or a valuable piece of feedback that helps us improve. The first step to understanding failure is to reframe how we think about it. Instead of seeing it as something shameful, we can view it as an opportunity. Every time we fail, we're given a chance to learn something new. We get the opportunity to ask ourselves, what went wrong? What can I do better next time? Failure invites us to look closely at ourselves, our actions, and our decisions. When we approach failure with curiosity instead of judgment, we open ourselves up to new perspectives. Often, the most valuable lessons come from moments of failure. Think about the times you faced setbacks or made mistakes. What did you learn from those experiences? Chances are you gained insights that helped you grow in ways that success alone never could. For example, if you've ever failed at a task, you likely learned what didn't work, which is just as important as learning what does. Failure provides feedback that allows us to fine-tune our approach. It helps us build resilience and improve our strategies moving forward. What many people don't realize is that some of the most successful individuals in history faced significant failures before achieving greatness. Think about Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, or Michael Jordan, who was cut from his high school basketball team before going on to become one of the greatest basketball players of all time. These figures didn't let failure stop them. Instead, they used it as fuel for their determination. They understood that failure wasn't the end. It was simply part of the process. Failure also plays a critical role in building character. It teaches us perseverance, patience, and humility. When we fail, we're reminded that we don't have control over everything. It's a humbling experience that forces us to confront our limitations and weaknesses. But it's in these moments that we grow stronger. We learn to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and try again. Each time we face failure and rise above it, we become more resilient and better equipped to handle future challenges. It's important to remember that failure doesn't define us. It's only a moment in time. Just because something didn't work out today doesn't mean we won't be successful tomorrow. Success is not a straight line. It's full of twists, turns, and detours. But each failure along the way is simply another part of the journey. Think of it like climbing a mountain. If you slip or stumble along the way, it doesn't mean you're incapable of reaching the top. It just means that you need to adjust your footing and keep going. The view from the top will be even more rewarding because of the challenges you overcame to get there. Failure also teaches us to take risks. When we're afraid to fail, we limit ourselves. We hold back from pursuing our dreams because we're afraid of making mistakes. But if we never fail, we never grow. Taking risks means stepping into the unknown and embracing the possibility of failure. And while that might feel uncomfortable at first, it's only through taking risks that we discover new opportunities and achieve things we never thought possible. Failure pushes us out of our comfort zones and encourages us to stretch beyond what we thought we were capable of. Another powerful aspect of failure is that it helps us build empathy and understanding. When we fail, we become more compassionate toward others who are going through similar struggles. We understand firsthand what it feels like to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, and to face setbacks. This shared experience of failure connects us to others in a deeper way. It reminds us that we are all human, and we are all in this journey together. Our failures make us more relatable, more open to others, and more willing to help those who are struggling. The fear of failure is often rooted in the idea of judgment. We worry about how others will perceive us if we don't succeed. But in reality, most people are too focused on their own lives to scrutinize ours. When we fail, we might think we're being judged. But the truth is that others are likely more concerned with their own failures and challenges. Once we release the fear of judgment, we are free to fail without shame. This freedom allows us to take risks, to try new things, and to grow without the burden of perfection. Instead of fearing failure, we should learn to embrace it as a part of our journey. When we fail, we learn resilience. We learn to adapt. We learn that setbacks are not the end of the road, but an opportunity to start again with more wisdom and strength. Failure is not something to avoid. It's something to accept, learn from, and move forward with. In a world that often measures success by results, it's important to remember that the process is just as important as the outcome. Every step along the way, every misstep, and every challenge contributes to our growth. And in the end, it's not the final destination that matters most. It's who we become as we journey through life. Embracing failure as part of that journey makes the path all the more meaningful. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning, evolving, and pushing forward no matter what obstacles arise. By changing the way we think about failure, we open ourselves to endless possibilities. We free ourselves from the fear of making mistakes and instead, we embrace the opportunity to grow. Every failure is simply a step towards success, a lesson learned, and a chance to try again. With this mindset, failure no longer becomes something to avoid but something to welcome as part of the process. And in doing so, we unlock our true potential, one failure at a time. Chapter 10. How to Stay Happy No Matter What. Sometimes, life feels like it's relentlessly throwing obstacles our way. It's easy to think that happiness is a distant dream, something that only exists when everything is perfect, when all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place, when the chaos finally calms down. But here's the truth. Happiness is not something that comes with a perfect life. It's not reserved for the moments when everything is going smoothly. Real happiness is found in the ability to stay grounded and find peace no matter what is happening around us. When you think about it, there will never be a moment in life when things are completely free of challenges. Whether it's work stress, family struggles, or personal battles, life will always present difficulties. But this doesn't mean that we are doomed to unhappiness. It simply means that the key to staying happy is not dependent on external circumstances, but on how we choose to respond to them. The secret lies in cultivating inner peace and resilience, the kind that helps you stay steady when life tries to shake you at the core. Of this lies one crucial idea. Happiness is not about waiting for everything to be perfect. It's about learning how to be content with what you have even while striving for more. It's about accepting the messy, unpredictable nature of life and finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. This doesn't mean ignoring your problems or pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. It's about choosing to face those problems with a mindset that allows you to remain centered, hopeful, and open to new possibilities. The first step to staying happy no matter what is to shift the focus away from things that are beyond your control. It's easy to get caught up in worrying about things that are outside of your power. You can't control other people's actions, the weather, or even some of the things that happen at work. But you do have control over your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. The way you choose to respond to the things that happen in your life can make all the difference. For instance, when you're faced with a difficult situation, it's tempting to spiral into frustration, anger, or despair. But this only adds fuel to the fire. Instead, try to take a step back and recognize that while you can't change the situation, you can change how you approach it. You have the power to decide whether you will let it consume you, or whether you will find a way to navigate through it with grace and strength. This doesn't mean pretending that things are okay when they're not, but it does mean choosing not to let external circumstances dictate your emotional state. One of the most effective ways to build resilience is by practicing gratitude. Gratitude doesn't require you to ignore your challenges or pretend that everything is perfect. Instead, it shifts your focus to the things that are going well, even in the midst of difficulty. When you cultivate a habit of gratitude, you train your mind to look for the positive rather than getting stuck in the negative. This doesn't mean that you won't face struggles, but it does mean that you will find reasons to smile even when life is hard. Another powerful tool for staying happy is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in the moment without judgment. It's about paying attention to your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without letting them overwhelm you. When you're mindful, you stop worrying about the past or the future and start focusing on the here and now. This can be incredibly grounding and calming, especially in times of stress. Instead of getting lost in anxious thoughts or spiraling into negative thinking, you can choose to be present, to breathe, and to accept things as they are in that moment. Of course, this doesn't mean that every day will feel like a breeze. Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes it's going to feel like nothing is going right. But even in those moments, it's important to remember that your happiness doesn't have to depend on perfection. Happiness is about learning to be okay with the imperfections of life and finding peace in the present moment. It's about letting go of the need to control everything and allowing yourself to just be. In those moments when life feels overwhelming, it's helpful to remember that happiness doesn't require constant excitement or joy. Sometimes it's about peace. It's about accepting things for what they are and not needing them to be anything different. This shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. When you let go of the pressure to always be happy or always be perfect, you open yourself up to a deeper sense of contentment. You start to realize that even in the hard times, there is still room for peace and acceptance. Another key element of staying happy, no matter what, is developing strong emotional boundaries. It's easy to get pulled into other people's drama or allow external situations to dictate your mood. But when you set healthy emotional boundaries, you protect your own sense of peace and well-being. This doesn't mean shutting people out or avoiding difficult conversations. It simply means recognizing that you can only control your own emotions and reactions, and that you have the right to protect your mental and emotional health. When you start practicing these tools, acceptance, gratitude, mindfulness, and emotional boundaries, you'll begin to notice a shift in your ability to stay happy in the midst of life's challenges. You'll start to see that happiness is not an end goal or a destination. It's a practice, a choice, and a mindset. The more you practice these habits, the easier it becomes to maintain your sense of happiness, even when life is tough. The key to staying happy is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about learning to thrive in the present, even when things aren't going as planned. It's about developing the resilience and strength to handle whatever life throws at you, without losing your sense of peace and joy. Life will always be unpredictable, but when you choose to stay grounded, to focus on what you can control, and to practice gratitude and mindfulness, you'll find that happiness isn't something you need to wait for. It's something you can cultivate right now, in the midst of it all. Chapter 11. How to keep growing in life. Growth doesn't happen overnight, nor does it come without challenges. It's an ongoing process that requires patience, consistency, and a deep understanding that life is always evolving. Each day you're presented with opportunities to improve, to expand your mindset, to become a better version of yourself. The key is to recognize those moments and embrace them, even when they don't seem like major breakthroughs. Life's lessons often come in subtle ways, and growth isn't always about the dramatic changes. It's the small, consistent steps forward that truly make a difference. In every moment, there is an opportunity to grow. When you wake up in the morning, you are not the same person you were yesterday. You've had experiences, thoughts, and interactions that have shaped you. But growth isn't something that just happens on its own. It's something you actively choose. It's about deciding to be better than you were yesterday. It's about recognizing that every single day is a chance to make progress, whether that's learning something new, taking better care of yourself, or building stronger relationships with others. Growth often requires you to step outside of your comfort zone, and this can be uncomfortable. It's easy to get stuck in familiar routines, doing the things that feel safe and predictable. But growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens when you push yourself to try new things, to take risks, and to embrace challenges. When you resist the urge to stay stagnant and instead choose to evolve, that's when true transformation begins. This doesn't mean that every day will be a massive leap forward. Growth is often slow and incremental. It's the small changes you make consistently that add up over time. It's waking up 30 minutes earlier to read, or choosing a healthier meal, or deciding to speak kindly to yourself. These may seem like minor adjustments, but over time they accumulate, and they begin to shape your life in profound ways. Another important aspect of growth is understanding that setbacks are not failures but opportunities to learn. When you encounter challenges or face obstacles, it's easy to feel discouraged. It's easy to think that you're not making progress, or that you're not capable of achieving your goals. But this mindset misses the point. Challenges are an inevitable part of growth. They help you refine your approach, strengthen your resilience, and deepen your understanding. Every time you overcome a setback, you grow stronger, more capable, and more knowledgeable. Instead of viewing setbacks as roadblocks, try to see them as stepping stones to success. This perspective shift is essential. When you approach life with the belief that challenges are opportunities for growth, you start to see them in a new light. Instead of avoiding difficulty, you begin to welcome it as part of the journey. You understand that every time you encounter a challenge, you're building the skills, character, and mindset you need to continue evolving. One of the most powerful tools for growth is self-reflection. Taking the time to evaluate your actions, thoughts, and behaviors helps you gain clarity about where you are and where you want to go. Self-reflection allows you to recognize patterns in your life that may be holding you back, and it gives you the insight you need to make positive changes. It's about asking yourself the tough questions. What's working? What's not working? What can I do better? What am I afraid of? And how can I overcome that fear? Self-reflection isn't about beating yourself up or focusing on your mistakes. It's about being honest with yourself in a constructive way. It's about identifying the areas where you can improve and then taking intentional action to move forward. By reflecting on your experiences, you gain valuable lessons that help you grow. You learn what you need to do differently, and you gain the clarity to keep moving toward your goals. Growth also requires you to embrace discomfort. Change is often uncomfortable. It's easy to stay where things feel familiar and safe. But growth only happens when you step into the unknown. Whether it's taking on a new challenge at work, having a difficult conversation, or trying something you've never done before, discomfort is a sign that you're pushing yourself to grow. The more you embrace these uncomfortable moments, the more you'll expand your abilities and mindset. The process of growth also involves learning to let go of limiting beliefs. Many of us have internalized messages throughout our lives that tell us what we can and can't do. These beliefs can hold us back from reaching our full potential. But the truth is, most of these beliefs are not facts. They are simply stories we've told ourselves. To grow, you must challenge these limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering ones. You have the ability to achieve great things, and you are worthy of success. Once you let go of the beliefs that hold you back, you open up space for new possibilities. Building resilience is another crucial component of growth. Life is full of challenges, and it's easy to become discouraged when things don't go as planned. But resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. It's about not letting setbacks define you, but instead using them as fuel to keep moving forward. When you develop resilience, you develop the strength to handle whatever life throws your way. You understand that setbacks are temporary, and that your ability to persevere is what truly matters. One of the most important aspects of growth is consistency. It's not enough to just try something new once or twice and expect immediate results. Growth takes time, effort, and commitment. It's about showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. Whether it's continuing to work on your goals, nurturing your relationships, or focusing on your personal development, consistency is key. The more you show up for yourself, the more you build momentum, and the more progress you make. Remember, growth isn't a linear process. There will be times when it feels like you're stuck or not moving forward. But even in those moments, you are still growing. Growth is a long-term journey, not a quick fix. It requires patience and persistence. The important thing is to keep going, to stay focused on your goals, and to trust that the effort you're putting in will pay off over time. As you continue to grow, you'll notice shifts in the way you view the world. You'll start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You'll develop a deeper sense of self-awareness and confidence. You'll begin to embrace challenges as opportunities for learning and improvement. The process of growth will become a natural part of your life, and you'll start to realize that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. Keep moving forward, because every step you take brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. Chapter 12. Your Happiness Plan for Life in Life. We often get caught up in the whirlwind of busyness, constantly striving for more and moving from one task to the next without a moment's pause. It's easy to lose sight of why we're doing what we're doing, and it can feel like we're on autopilot, working hard but without a clear sense of direction or purpose. The truth is, while it's important to have goals and ambitions, it's just as crucial to have a plan for happiness, a guide to navigate the challenges that life inevitably throws your way. One of the most powerful tools you can have for creating lasting happiness is having a happiness plan. A roadmap that provides clarity, focus, and a sense of direction. A happiness plan isn't about setting unrealistic expectations or pursuing fleeting pleasures. It's about consciously choosing the habits, actions, and mindsets that bring you joy and fulfillment. It's about designing your life in a way that nurtures your well-being, growth, and inner peace. The foundation of your happiness plan lies in understanding that happiness is not something that just happens to you. It's something that you actively create. While external circumstances can influence how you feel, true happiness comes from within. It's about taking ownership of your life, acknowledging the power you have to shape your experiences, and deciding how you want to respond to what comes your way. Happiness isn't a destination but a practice, one that requires consistent effort and mindfulness. The first step in creating your happiness plan is to identify what truly matters to you. This is often easier said than done because we're constantly bombarded with societal pressures and expectations. But if you take a step back and reflect on your life, you'll find that the things that bring you lasting joy are often simple and personal. For some, it might be spending time with family. For others, it might be pursuing a creative passion or practicing self-care. The key is to pinpoint the activities, people, and experiences that align with your core values and that make you feel alive. Once you've identified what truly matters, the next step is to make these things a priority in your life. It's easy to get distracted by the demands of work, social obligations, and daily routines. But without intentionality, the things that bring us joy often fall by the wayside. To build a happiness plan that works, you must schedule time for what matters most. This might mean setting boundaries around your work hours, carving out time for exercise, or making a habit of disconnecting from technology to spend time with loved ones. By consciously creating space for the things that bring you happiness, you ensure that they don't get lost in the shuffle. In addition to prioritizing the things that bring you joy, it's important to take a closer look at your mindset. Happiness is not just about what you do but also how you think. If you consistently focus on the negative aspects of life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and defeated. But by shifting your focus to the positive, acknowledging the small wins, expressing gratitude, and practicing optimism, you can train your brain to seek out joy even in challenging circumstances. It's about changing the way you interpret the world around you and choosing to see the opportunities in every situation. One of the most transformative practices you can incorporate into your happiness plan is gratitude. Gratitude has the power to shift your perspective and bring more joy into your life. It's easy to get caught up in what's not going well, but taking a moment each day to reflect on what you're grateful for can have a profound impact on your overall sense of well-being. Whether it's the warmth of a cup of coffee in the morning, the support of a friend, or the beauty of nature, there's always something to be thankful for. By focusing on the positives, you begin to train your brain to see the good in your life, which in turn increases your happiness. Another key element of your happiness plan is cultivating strong relationships. Human connection is one of the most powerful sources of joy, and yet, it's easy to neglect our relationships when life gets busy. But investing in meaningful connections with family, friends, and loved ones can have a huge impact on your overall happiness. This doesn't mean you need to be surrounded by a large circle of people, but rather, it's about nurturing the relationships that matter most. It's about spending quality time together, being present in the moment, and offering support when needed. Strong relationships provide a sense of belonging, purpose, and emotional fulfillment, all of which are essential for long-term happiness. Part of building a happiness plan is also being mindful of your self-talk. The way you speak to yourself can have a significant impact on your emotional state. If you constantly criticize yourself, dwell on mistakes, and focus on what you're not doing well, it's easy to fall into a negative mindset. But by practicing self-compassion and treating yourself with kindness, you can shift your internal dialogue and cultivate a more positive and supportive relationship with yourself. This doesn't mean you should ignore areas for improvement, but rather, it's about approaching yourself with the same understanding and care that you would offer a friend. Physical well-being is another cornerstone of your happiness plan. It's hard to feel good mentally and emotionally if your body isn't in a healthy state. This doesn't mean you have to be in perfect shape, but taking care of your physical health can have a big impact on your overall happiness. Regular exercise, eating nourishing foods, and getting enough sleep are all vital components of maintaining a balanced life. When you feel good physically, it's easier to feel good emotionally and mentally. The connection between body and mind is undeniable, and by prioritizing your health, you are investing in your happiness. One of the most important aspects of creating a happiness plan is to let go of perfectionism. We live in a culture that often emphasizes achieving success, meeting high expectations, and striving for perfection. But this pursuit of perfection can be draining and counterproductive. Perfectionism often leads to stress, self-doubt, and feelings of inadequacy. Instead of trying to do everything perfectly, focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate the small victories, embrace your imperfections, and understand that growth is a journey, not a destination. Letting go of the need to be perfect frees you to embrace life as it comes and allows you to experience happiness without the constant pressure to measure up. Your happiness plan should include room for fun and play. Life is serious at times, and responsibilities can weigh heavily on our shoulders. But it's just as important to have moments of joy and lightness. Laughter, play, and creativity are vital aspects of a fulfilling life. Whether it's taking a spontaneous trip, trying something new, or simply enjoying a moment of silliness, these moments of joy provide balance and recharge your emotional energy. When you make time for fun, you tap into a wellspring of positive energy that can fuel your efforts in other areas of life. Creating your happiness plan is a deeply personal endeavor. It's about identifying what truly matters to you, aligning your actions with your values, and creating a life that supports your well-being. It's not about being happy all the time because life is full of ups and downs, but by intentionally designing a life that prioritizes joy, growth, and connection, you can create a foundation of happiness that carries you through even the most challenging times. Your happiness is not something you have to wait for. It's something you can build one day at a time. Chapter 13. Why comparing yourself to others destroys your happiness. Comparison eats away at your peace and happiness, making you feel like you're constantly behind, like you're falling short, or like you're not enough. You may look around and feel that everyone else is ahead, doing better, living fuller lives, and achieving more. This relentless comparison can leave you anxious, unsatisfied, and at worst, deeply disconnected from your own self-worth. But here's the thing. It's all an illusion. In the age of social media, comparison is easier than ever. A quick scroll through Instagram or Facebook, and you're bombarded with perfectly filtered images of success, beauty, and happiness. It's easy to forget that behind those photos, there's a whole story often untold. People post the highlights but not the lows, the failures, or the struggles. We see what others want us to see, and this shapes our perception of what a successful life should look like. This isn't to say that everyone is dishonest, but the nature of social media creates a distorted version of reality where only the best parts are shared and everything else is left behind the curtain. But here's the important part. Comparing yourself to others is a trap. It's a game you can never win. Every time you look at someone else's life and think, I wish I had that, you're inadvertently placing your happiness in their hands. You're allowing someone else's choices, achievements, or possessions to define your worth, and that's dangerous. The truth is, no one's life is perfect. No one's journey is as smooth as it seems from the outside. Everyone has their battles, their struggles, their shortcomings, but they're often hidden, covered up, or minimized in favor of showcasing success. When you constantly compare, you lose sight of the fact that your life is unique. Your journey is yours, and it doesn't need to look like anyone else's. The beauty of your path lies in its authenticity, the experiences that shape you, and the choices you make that define your growth. There is no one-size-fits-all formula for success or happiness. What works for someone else may not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. One of the most powerful things you can do for your happiness is to stop measuring yourself against other people. Instead, focus on your own progress, your own journey, and your own growth. Ask yourself, what do you want? What does success look like for you? How do you want to define your happiness? When you stop comparing, you open up the space to answer those questions for yourself, to build a life that is aligned with your values and desires. This doesn't mean you can't learn from others or be inspired by their achievements. There's a big difference between being inspired and being consumed by comparison. You can admire someone's success and use it as motivation to improve your own life without thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'll never get there. It's about seeing others' success as proof that it's possible rather than a reminder that you're falling short. The key is to focus on your own path and not get caught up in someone else's. What do you want to achieve in your life? What are the small, consistent steps you can take each day to get closer to your goals? Stop waiting for the perfect conditions or the right time to begin. The most successful people didn't wait for the world to be perfect before they took action. They started where they were, with what they had, and they kept going. Progress doesn't happen overnight, but it happens through steady, deliberate steps. When you begin to measure your life by your own standards rather than the standards set by others, you free yourself. You begin to realize that your worth isn't tied to what others have or what they've achieved. You are enough just as you are. You are allowed to take your own time, to make mistakes, to grow at your own pace, and to define what success and happiness look like for you. By shifting your focus inward and away from the external, you can find true contentment. Instead of looking to others for validation, you begin to cultivate self-worth from within. You stop chasing the fleeting and superficial markers of success, and instead focus on what genuinely makes you happy, fulfilled, and at peace. If you find yourself slipping into comparison, try to catch yourself in the act. Notice when those negative thoughts begin to creep in, when you start thinking, I should have that, or why am I not there yet? Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Recognize that those thoughts are not the truth. They are simply reflections of societal pressure, expectations, and the distorted narratives we've been taught to believe. To counter those thoughts, shift your focus to gratitude. What do you have right now that brings you joy? What have you achieved, no matter how small, that you can be proud of? When you start looking for what's right in your own life rather than what's missing, you begin to notice how much you already have. You start to see the value in your own journey, and you stop measuring it against someone else's. Another powerful way to break free from comparison is to surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, not those who make you feel less than. Choose to spend your time with people who celebrate your successes, support your growth, and understand that everyone's path is different. These are the people who will remind you of your worth and who will encourage you to keep going no matter where you are on your journey. Remember, you are enough. Your worth is not determined by what others have or what they've achieved. You are valuable simply because you are you. When you stop comparing and start appreciating your own unique journey, you create space for genuine happiness to grow. You stop chasing an ideal life and instead, you start living the one that's right for you. Chapter 14. How to create happiness in just 5 minutes a day. Happiness doesn't always come from grand gestures or big life changes. Sometimes it can be cultivated in the smallest moments. The power to create happiness in your life isn't reserved for special events or rare occasions. You don't have to wait for the perfect circumstances or the right conditions. In fact, you can start creating happiness for yourself in as little as 5 minutes a day. It's easy to believe that happiness is something that comes when everything falls into place. The perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect home. We often set our sights on these future moments, thinking that happiness will follow when we reach them. The problem with this mindset is that we're constantly chasing something outside of ourselves. We place our happiness in the hands of external circumstances, assuming that once we have that perfect thing, we'll finally feel content. But what happens if it takes longer than expected? What happens if it never comes? Does that mean you can't be happy in the meantime? The truth is, happiness is available to you right now in this very moment. It's not something that will suddenly appear when all your goals are achieved, but something you can tap into on a daily basis. It's about how you choose to respond to the present, how you decide to engage with the little things, and how you show up for yourself each day. One of the simplest ways to create happiness in just 5 minutes a day is by practicing gratitude. It doesn't take much time, but the impact it has on your mindset is profound. Start by taking a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for. It could be something as small as the warm cup of coffee you just drank, the laughter you shared with a friend, or the quiet moments of peace before the day gets busy. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing in your life to what's already present. It helps you realize that there's beauty, comfort, and joy in the everyday moments, and this can immediately shift your energy from lack to abundance. Another way to create happiness in just 5 minutes is by engaging in a simple mindfulness practice. Mindfulness doesn't require you to sit in silence for hours or meditate like a monk. It's about being fully present in whatever you're doing. Whether you're walking down the street, washing the dishes, or having a conversation, you can practice mindfulness by simply paying attention. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, and the feelings that arise. By fully immersing yourself in the moment, you free yourself from worries about the future or regrets about the past. It's a simple yet powerful way to bring happiness into your day. Sometimes the smallest actions can have the biggest impact on your happiness. It could be taking a 5-minute break to step outside and get some fresh air, letting yourself rest when you're tired, or reading a chapter of a book you've been wanting to finish. These small acts of self-care may seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but when done consistently, they add up. They remind you that you are worthy of kindness, time, and attention. These little moments help you reconnect with yourself and nourish your well-being. You don't need a lot of time to turn a rough day around. Sometimes all it takes is a small shift in perspective. If you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, take 5 minutes to pause, breathe, and reframe your thoughts. Instead of focusing on everything that's going wrong, try to find one thing that's going right. Maybe you made it through a difficult meeting, or maybe you've managed to handle a stressful situation with more grace than you expected. By recognizing these moments of strength, you remind yourself that you are capable, resilient, and stronger than you realize. Another quick way to boost your happiness is through simple physical movement. You don't need to run a marathon or spend an hour at the gym to reap the benefits of exercise. A few minutes of stretching, a brisk walk, or dancing around your living room can increase your mood and energy levels. Movement releases endorphins, which are your body's natural feel-good chemicals. Whether you're taking the stairs instead of the elevator or doing a few jumping jacks, these small bursts of activity can shift your mindset and make you feel more alive. If you're feeling stuck or uninspired, another quick happiness hack is to engage in something creative. This doesn't mean you have to be a professional artist or musician. Creative expression can be as simple as doodling, journaling, or brainstorming new ideas. Creativity allows you to tap into your inner self and release pent-up emotions or thoughts. It's a way to channel your energy in a positive direction, and the process of creating something, even if it's just for fun, can be incredibly fulfilling. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking a moment to check in with yourself. You can spend 5 minutes asking yourself how you're feeling, what you need, and what you can do to take care of yourself. This simple act of self-awareness can help you make better decisions throughout the day. It allows you to pause and recognize when you need rest, when you need a change of pace, or when you need to reach out for support. Over time, these 5-minute practices build up and become habits that contribute to a more positive and joyful life. When you create small moments of happiness throughout your day, you shift the overall energy of your life. You become more in tune with your needs, more connected to your emotions, and more capable of finding peace and joy even in the midst of challenges. The key to creating happiness in 5 minutes is consistency. It's not about doing everything perfectly or trying to force happiness into every moment. It's about showing up for yourself no matter how small the action. It's about taking time to recognize what brings you joy, even in the most ordinary moments. By making happiness a daily practice, you begin to notice more of it in your life, and over time, you'll find that those 5 minutes add up to a much greater sense of well-being, contentment, and fulfillment. It's easy to think that happiness requires major life changes or extraordinary accomplishments, but the truth is, you already have everything you need to create happiness in your life. It's not about waiting for something external to change. It's about shifting your mindset, appreciating the present, and making small but meaningful choices every day. You don't need a lot of time, just a commitment to showing up for yourself and choosing joy, even in the smallest of moments. Chapter 15. Why you should stop waiting for life to get easier. Life often feels like a never-ending chase. We spend our days moving from one goal to the next, always seeking the next milestone that promises happiness, peace, or fulfillment. We wait for things to fall into place, waiting for a better job, a better relationship, the perfect moment when everything aligns. But what happens if that moment never comes? What if, after all that waiting, we find ourselves still yearning for something more? The truth is, waiting for life to get easier is a trap. It's a lie we tell ourselves, thinking that if we can just survive this current moment, then we'll be able to breathe, relax, and enjoy life. But life isn't meant to be a series of someday moments. It isn't meant to be a waiting game where we only allow ourselves to be happy once everything is perfect. If we keep waiting for the storm to pass before we allow ourselves to live fully, we may end up waiting forever. Every day, life will present challenges, big or small. Some days will feel overwhelming, like there's too much on your plate. Other days might be full of little annoyances that pile up until they feel like mountains. Yet, in the midst of all of this, there is something powerful we can choose to do. We can decide to stop waiting for life to get easier and start living fully right now as it is. If we keep waiting for the perfect time to take action or to feel happy, we'll never actually live. Waiting for life to slow down or get easier is a form of procrastination. We put off experiencing joy and contentment, telling ourselves that once the chaos of life calms down, then we'll be able to enjoy what's around us. But what if that day never comes? What if life continues to be a whirlwind with ups and downs, good days and bad? Will we spend our entire lives waiting for conditions to improve? This is why it's so important to make the conscious choice to live now, in the present moment with all its imperfections. Life will never be free of challenges, but challenges don't have to stop you from being happy. In fact, they are often the very things that teach you the most about yourself. They shape your character, strengthen your resilience, and help you grow. The key isn't to wait for life to be easy, but to embrace the life you have, even when it's tough. One of the first steps to stop waiting for life to get easier is to shift your perspective. Instead of focusing on what's wrong or what needs to change, focus on what you can control. There are so many aspects of life that are outside of your influence, but there's one thing you always have control over: your attitude. You can decide to approach each moment with an open heart, with curiosity and courage. Instead of waiting for things to improve, you can find ways to make the best of your current situation, even if it's not ideal. Life doesn't need to be perfect for you to experience joy. In fact, it's often the messy and imperfect moments that bring the most depth and meaning. When you stop waiting for life to get easier, you start to appreciate the present moment more deeply. You begin to see the beauty in the small things. A conversation with a friend, a quiet moment in the morning, the feeling of accomplishment after completing a task. The joy is found in the process, not just the destination. Happiness isn't about waiting for things to settle. It's about engaging fully in life right now as it is. You don't have to wait for life to be perfect to live it. Another way to stop waiting for life to get easier is to stop comparing yourself to others. The world is full of people who seem to have it all together. Social media gives us glimpses into the lives of others, often showing only their highlights. It's easy to believe that everyone else is living a smoother, happier life while we're stuck in the struggle. But the reality is, everyone faces challenges, just in different forms. Comparing yourself to others only feeds your feelings of inadequacy and frustration. Instead of measuring your life against someone else's, focus on your own journey. Celebrate the progress you've made, no matter how small it may seem. Every step forward counts, and every challenge overcome is a victory. If you've been waiting for life to get easier, it might be time to accept that life isn't meant to be a constant state of ease. It's not about avoiding discomfort or hardship, but about learning how to navigate through it with resilience. You are capable of handling more than you think. You have the strength to move through the tough times, and with each challenge, you become more capable, more resilient, and more adaptable. Life isn't about waiting for ease. It's about learning how to thrive even when things are difficult. When you stop waiting for life to be easy, you also stop placing your happiness on hold. Happiness is something you can choose regardless of what's going on around you. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world. Yes, there will be times when things don't go according to plan. Yes, there will be moments of stress, disappointment, and difficulty. But those moments don't define you. Your ability to find peace, joy, and gratitude in the midst of those challenges is what truly matters. Life isn't a linear journey where everything falls into place at once. It's a series of ups and downs, twists and turns, and moments of growth. There will always be something to navigate, whether it's a work deadline, a personal struggle, or the inevitable changes that life throws your way. But the key is to stop waiting for the perfect moment to live fully. There's no better time than now. You can't control the future and you can't change the past, but you can choose how you respond to the present. Instead of waiting for life to be easier, choose to live fully now. Embrace the messiness, the challenges, and the uncertainty. Trust that every experience, even the difficult ones, is helping you grow into the person you're meant to be. Happiness isn't deserved for a future time when things calm down. It's available to you right now in the middle of your life, just as it is. The key to happiness isn't in waiting for life to get easier. It's in fully embracing the life you have right now.